Okay. Let me just share this.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, it goes as a post apparently originally. So,
Okay.
okay. I have to go back and start the recording. Got it. And resume recording. All right, Angel-ica, we're here. I believe
Wonderful.
we are live, and I want to welcome our viewers to A Day of Light and Love 2022. We're here with Angel-ica Deer, and I'm going to go into a little bit of an introduction of her. But first, I want to just talk about the event and what the event is for. This is a free event, live streamed through YouTube and Facebook throughout Christmas Day 2022. And each hour there's a different contributor speaking from their wisdom, the wisdom of their experience, in order to help, to reach, to inspire, to uplift, to assist, to guide someone or someones who are right now during this very, very special season of the year, maybe feeling a bit left out, maybe some changes happened in their own life. Maybe their relationship status changed. Perhaps there was a death of someone close to them. Maybe it's just distance keeping them this Christmas from their loved ones. But generally, it's during this season that we notice the things, the loneliness, if there is loneliness, or the disconnection. And in my experience, because I have been there, that's what inspired this event originally. But in my experience, this is an opportunity to receive some very good inputs that could assist you in moving forward and claiming that next level of livingness that's available to you. And so with that being said, that is why we are here giving our Christmas to the world during this day of light and love. And I have my very, very good friend, and sister with a capital S, Angel-ica Deer. And she's joining us from near Tampa, Florida, I believe.
Tampa, Florida. Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning your time.
Yes,
And
we're very grateful to be here.
You waited up to be a part of this, and I really appreciate it, like, very much.
It's a perfect time for me because I can, easily share my time with others when I'm not on motherhood duty. So
you are a mother, aren't you?
Yes,
5
while
children?
they're sleeping.
Oh,
5 children, yes.
5
and
children.
I have the 5 of them home today. So
So your daughter is in from Arizona?
Yes, I have all of them home. And it's been just beautiful today. Very, very grateful. So
Now your youngest, you have twins. How old are the twins now?
They are 11. So very, very huge gap between them, but amazing. All their ages are just perfect. It is very fulfilling. So this time for me is perfect. So when you said 1 a.m., I'm like, yes, I can.
That's wonderful. Well, I know you as an advocate of faith. That's how I would define you. I really believe that it's not just that you have faith, but you advocate for others to expand their faith and to grow and increase in their faith and their connection to God. And I know that today, this segment is dedicated to the theme of God's invitation to live in his spirit. And
Yes.
I know that you selected that knowing that we were seeking to touch those that maybe their faith isn't as strong. Maybe their faith has wavered a little. Maybe the walk of faith is something very new to them.
Well, you know how we often say we are in the spirit of Christmas, right? The spirit of joy, of celebration, of togetherness, but truly in spirit. If we get to feel it here in our hearts, we live in this spirit. I truly feel like the spirit is the one that breathes us, you know, the one that guides us, the one that returns us home to God. And it's in that process when we are more in the body, more present as in the human experience, when we forget this magical side of us, which is our spirit. So I know there are times when people feel lonely, when they feel more pain, suffering, and it's that disconnection from knowing their spirit, from experiencing their own spirit in them that is in our DNA, in our I was explaining the faith camp that I'm hosting this year. I was explaining them that many times we don't recognize this simple fact. We are so consumed by the things that go on in our minds, in our own body, how we project our own experiences, that we forget to get still, to recognize that there's something more inside of us. And is as the question arises, who I am, what I am here to do, when often we can find easily the answer that God is guiding us through our spirit. But it's in those moments of disconnection when we have to focus even more in that quiet time, not in the loneliness to be just alone, but in the silence that speak the voice of God to us. And our spirit will recognize it. Our spirit will be like, stay longer. Let's stay here. I like this. It doesn't feel odd. It's like home. But many times we're afraid of being alone. So it takes practice, it takes awareness, it takes of our own willingness to want to reach a higher understanding of who we are and how we perform better.
We do live in a very almost overstimulated world, don't we?
Very busy, very
busy, a lot of notifications and alerts and all kinds of electronic urgency, and the pace of living is quite a pace. When you talked about just being alone.
Mm-hmm. Like taking, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes in the morning, first thing in the morning, just for yourself, just to center, to connect, to be present, right? a prayer between you and your Heavenly Father right there. And your body will feel that the Spirit had activated everything you need for the day. And then you can go off and perform. I was telling um, someone yesterday, that is where the real work is done. Everything else flows after you do this work, right?
Mm,
After you are so present and so devoted on those first
mm,
minutes during the morning, that if you had already felt that you received that blessing, that you received that grace, that you are completely connected to God for the day, then who is going to come and disturb that? Your day will flow in things that you thought of. Like right now, we were dealing with something about the password just to get into this meeting. And I was like, okay, calm down. This is going to work out. You're going to be with Jeannie in just a few minutes. And then everything, flow. But it was the resistance that I noticed that I was putting that was bringing me to a place that I didn't want it to be.
that's so interesting. I just this year completed my first level of transcendental rebirth training.
Mhm.
One of the principles is I am slowing down.
Mm.
That's one of the principles. And it's so interesting how that principle, and I've invoked that principle since I learned it. I'm like, those are the words that I give. And if I say that to myself just a couple of times in a row, and every time slow the pace of the words, it's almost meditative.
Mm. Mhm.
I didn't really think about it till just now when you were talking about that time in the morning, right? And using that first 15 or 20 minutes before we engage with the day, just use that to quietly connect and
Yes.
feel spirit within us.
Yes. Yes.
It is amazing how easily the energy of the day flows.
Yes.
And like you said, resistance will show up. And I know for myself that when I catch myself, because I do the practice that you're talking about, like I look forward to it. Like I look forward to that stillness, that first, for me, it's 10-15 minutes of just stillness and contemplative awareness, just
Mhm.
intentionally, right? Just presence. I'm receiving what I need to, and it's interesting how you do know when it's received, don't you? Like you literally feel the connection when it's received.
Yes. Yes. Definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When you meditate with intention to listen, just to listen. How many times we got to God, right? And we're the ones talking, but we don't pause. We don't quiet ourselves enough. We don't sit in the stillness of being there to receive, to listen, because it's a relationship, right?
Yes.
It's a relationship when sometimes we are the ones who need to just sit down and listen and listen. And it's in that listening where we receive the word of God, where we receive guidance, where we receive that I love you, I am here for
That
you.
feeling of peace, just that
Yes,
feeling of peace, groundedness.
yes, yes. And that's why if there is anyone out there who is listening to us and is feeling alone, we are never alone. We are never, never, ever alone. God is always there with us, but we have to sit and be present. Just quiet yourself and listen. It might take practice as everything, right? But if you just close your eyes and you say, I am here, God, I am here for you. I just want to be held. I just want to be here with you. I just want to hear what you have to say to me. And this realization came on a walk with my children. We were talking about the Bible, and we were walking and we were making reference to Abraham. And we were talking about good listeners. And my son Nathan mentioned Abraham, Moses, and I'm like, right there, that's it. What are we not doing these days? We're not listening. But this was a revelation that came through a conversation with one of my children. And it completely transformed my life, because ever since I've been meditating more with the intention to listen, to receive, to be present. And in one of those times, I felt when God said to me, don't read the Bible to memorize it. Feel the words, receive the words, become the words. But that would not happen if I had not went there with the intention to listen, to hear what he has to say to me. Just when we go to visit someone, to talk to someone, that's the way we have to be with God too. So
It's that whole, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, because listening is way more important than talking.
Exactly. And it's just that part of our own awareness. I could easily miss, for years. It took me 40 years to get here, right? I'm 49 now, but I felt a shift in my own consciousness, on my own faith, and everything else kind of transformed when I turned 40. It's been a process, and it's been a journey of paying more attention to every single whisper. And I do consciously sit and listen.
For me, I can only speak for me, but for me, what I notice is when I began to consistently practice the receiving for 10 or 15 minutes in the morning, to stay quiet and just be receiving, be listening to receive, that I don't think the connection ever goes away.
No.
So I hate to call it a connection, because the connection is always there, but the awareness of the connection.
It's us. It's
Yes.
us. Us
Yes.
being aware. Us being aware. I even felt it once when I felt my children are like waves. They come and go.
Mhm.
I want you to stay. And that was huge, because it's true. How many times we don't just go to God in moments of despair, of sickness, of
Yes.
family member being ill? We want a miracle, and we want him to show it to us right there and then. But have we worked on this relationship? Have we, I mean, the way to manifest things into existence is just to be in such a deep relationship with God that when you activate your word, he hears it and then he replies to you, and there it is before you know it. What you want to experience, what you want to have and to hold is right there because you are being present.
And in my experience, when the consistency of presence increased, when my consistency to a practice of quieting, being present, listening to receive whatever it was. It's interesting how for me, as long as the day starts that way, the whole day I will receive at different intervals and be aware that there is something coming for me to receive, where if I didn't start the day that way, it's almost like I'm not in sync with the awareness of God. There's an in syncness that quietness and that presence brings me personally. And I am so much more aware when I am receiving something from the Spirit. Is that something that you would say? Consistency, it almost seems like it's a bit of a muscle. It's like a faith muscle or a receiving muscle. It's like the more consistent we are in the practice of presence, of quieting with the intention to receive, the more consistently we operate in that way, the more consistently the flow of receiving is,
well,
we're aware of it.
yes. In my personal experience, I feel like we are always connected. We are always listening as a spirits, right? As a spirit, I'm always right there. I don't want to be separated. It's only on moments when we are resisting something or we're frustrated about something, but if you catch yourself in the action of, I just quiet myself, I say a prayer, I do ask for guidance and help and love. And that's where I come back on that deeper connection. But it's us consciously being very mindfully of how are we facing things. Because I have noticed anything that I have to face, I must face it with love. That tells me that I am reacting from spirit. If it doesn't come from love, then I go step back. I reframe myself. How do I want to respond to this?
Yes.
Do I want to respond alone? Or do I want to respond with God? If I want to respond alone, then I will be fearful. I will be doubting. I will be worried. But if I want to respond with God, I'm going to be facing it through love, acceptance, forgiveness. And then, as if it was a miracle, things change.
They do.
Things begin to change.
They do.
But it's that split second of recognizing how I am feeling. And the emotions in our body, which is the human experience, are going to show us if we're doing things alone or we're having to use of our spiritual experience to face anything that arises. Anything.
So as we wrap up here, I want to just ask you this: if you will offer some input of some steps for someone that maybe this is a brand new journey of connection. What would you suggest to that person who's desiring of a stronger connection, but doesn't really know how to birth it?
Okay. First of all, I will recommend them to sit on their own, silent, and recognize that they do want to be closer to God, right? Because when you want to start a relationship, it's because you want to be accompanied by that someone, and this someone will be God, right? And the easy way for me is just to sit down in a quiet place, whether you want to call it meditation, prayer, presence. You say, I am here, God. Please receive me. I am your daughter, your son. It's been a long journey without you, but I want to be more present for what you have to teach me, for what you have to show me, for what you have to lead me to. And then be silent. At the beginning, it's going to be like homework. You show up every day. You show up with joy, with love, with the wanting this relationship. And suddenly it will be part of your life. And you will begin to learn more and more and more from it. Because as anything, the more attention you put onto something with love, the more it will grow. So getting to know God is one of the most extraordinary things that we can do in our lifetime, because that's where the true fulfillment comes from. Today we are celebrating, right, the birth of Jesus. And what an extraordinary moment to want to get to know Jesus as a teacher, as a leader, as the Son of God. If people are not believers, then let him teach you what it is like to be righteousness, right? Someone who guides the world through love and peace, through showing how you can love another without judging and without creating or seeing division because of where they were born or the color of the skin. I personally believe that the moment that we start seeing each other through the Spirit of God in us, all of those things will drop.
And they do.
Because
yes,
through the Spirit, we don't have all those judgments.
No. There is no difference in color of the spirit. There's no difference.
Yeah.
There's no difference in nationality. There's even no difference in sexual orientation or physical sexuality.
No judgment whatsoever.
No.
And that is where we are really, really thriving as children of God. That is where we create unity. That's where you and I stay united, even when we don't speak for a week or two. Because as we are connected with God, we are connected with everyone else.
That's so true.
Yes, and there's no loneliness then. On the contrary, that's when we feel more complete and more fulfilled.
So baby steps to start.
But consistency will be wonderful.
Yeah, consistency is truly the key.
Because if we begin to be like the waves that come and go, it will take us longer. And maybe we will feel defeated and say, this is not working out.
Yes.
But as every relationship, we need to be present. And we need to have conversations, many, many conversations. That is a real prayer. That is a real prayer. To be open in a conversation with God. That is where the love and peace comes from, where His grace is shown.
Well, thank you.
No, thank you for.
Thank you for your contribution.
I am so grateful. I am
I'm sure
really grateful.
You've touched many people with what you just shared.
It's it's the easiest and the most beautiful relationship they could ever. And one last thing that I want to say, once we establish this beautiful relationship, and as I will say, precious relationship with God, every other relationship is going to be beautiful.
It does.
That's it.
Every relationship is transformed.
Yes.
Sustainably transformed.
Incredibly.
Thank you, Angel-ica.
Thank you, Jeannie. Thank you so
always.
much to your early audience, and I hope they have a beautiful, blessed Christmas. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you, and a wonderful Christmas, a happy, Merry Christmas to you and your family, and thank you for taking this time. Now you should go get some sleep.
Yes.
Because the morning will come and those children will be they'll be up early, won't they?
Even the 24 want to see what Santa is bringing.
I love it.
I love you guys.